What's up, guys? Welcome to the Pod Gods. I'm Primetime Poulton. With me, the main event, Phil McNulty. Phil, what's going on, man?
Oh, it's this way. I
You
gotta
gotta do the
know for
opposite.
next time. Next time I'll get it right. I'm doing good, doing good. Ready for the weekend. Got done teaching a lot of kids this week. Glad to be able to sketch, be able to finish up some much needed artwork that needs to get done. That's my plan this weekend. Get everything inked, colored, sent off to you, to customers. Get all out of the way. This is going to be a great weekend because I've made sure I got everything done. So no longer am I being like, oh, it's coming, it's coming. It's really coming this week. So
Awesome, man. I'm in the middle of my U.S. Assassin Indiegogo campaign. I think there's 19 days left. Now, 2 days ago when we did our Impact review, I tried to share the screen. It didn't work. You didn't tell me that it didn't show up, so I was just on the.
I didn't know this is our second time ever with StreamYard. I didn't know that it wouldn't show up on my end. I thought since you're the host that it would
Yeah.
go up, and
All
I was
right.
like, oh, I'll do his thing.
I figured out how to do it. So let's go visit the U.S. Assassin page, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. So it's up. You can see it.
Oh, this is nice.
All right. So I'm gonna just play the video for us. So what'd you think, Phil?
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
It looks
I
so good.
I edited it and did the voiceover myself.
That was great editing skills, man. I was like, who did Poulton pay to get that little like secret dossier like look to it?
I didn't come up with it myself. I used a couple different apps and just edited them together to come up with a short 36-second clip. But let's run through the campaign. Our featured reward, $75. It gets you the book 1 reprint, book 2, and a sketch from Mike McMahon. I think that's the best deal on the table because you get the 2 books plus an original piece of artwork from Mike, who's a great artist. Then we have our basic tier, $25, gets you book 2 with that G.I. Joe inspired cover. Also for $25, you can get the book 1 reprint with that awesome Mark Yoon Spider-Man homage cover. And then we have a couple variant covers. They're not colored yet, but they will be when they're printed. Once I get the colored artwork for that, I'll post it on the page. But we got one from Kevin Sharp, who is doing Dragon Guard, his self-published book, which looks amazing. But Kevin's been in the industry for a long time. Did tons of books in the '90s. Awesome artist. And then
His
speaking of
X
'90s,
Factor stuff was fantastic.
yeah.
He only did a couple fill-in issues for the X Factor in the '90s. It was amazing.
Yeah, and here's a better look at his cover. It's just amazing. He went all out on it. And then speaking of '90s artists, former Extreme Studio artist Cedric Nakan, he did a wraparound cover for us that is just amazing. I told him, when he did Bazooka Dog, to go all out on Bazooka Dog with his weaponry, and he did just that. It is amazing looking. I can't wait to see this colored, and I own the original artwork. It's hanging in my man cave. I'm really proud of it. It's an amazing piece. Next up, we have this Spider-Man homage T-shirt for $25. Then you can get 2 copies of the book for $40. One for yourself, one for a friend. I hope to have this fulfilled by Christmas, at least for the backers in the U.S. I know international shipping can take a while longer, But you'll have these in time for Christmas. So if you want a Christmas present for a friend, pick them up a copy of the book. Our action pack, you get the book 1 reprint and book 2 for $50. Then the triple threat, we still have some original first printings of volume 1. So you'll get the first printing, the reprint of volume 1, and then the new book 2. And then the Patriot pack, which is the 3 books plus a sketch from Mike McMahon. And then we got the $200 Foot Locker. The Foot Locker is one of my favorite rewards. It's a collector's box, and inside is all 5 books from our campaign, plus an exclusive trading card, a print, and a sketch from Mike and a sketch from me. This was limited to 15 boxes. 10 of them have been claimed so far, so there's 5 left.
That is the best one, in my opinion. I would go all day hard on that U.S. Assassin Foot Locker. So for the 5 people out there who haven't claimed it, go claim that, because that is awesome. I love the box art.
Yeah, Mike did an awesome job, and there's 5 left. I think they're good to go, especially as we get closer to the end of the campaign. I'm really happy. I took a gamble on this. I didn't know, how many to guesstimate that we would need, but I think 15 was a good number because we're getting near to the end of the campaign and there's only 5 left. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then finally, our retailer pack, you'll get 10 copies of the book 1 reprint, 10 copies of book 2, a bunch of promo items for your store, and a 24 by 36 inch retail poster. Here's a good shot of the retail poster. I really like it. It reminds me of like when I went into the comic shops in the 90s, the type of posters I would see. And it has our main man, Slither, one of our most popular characters, created by my son, Chase, when he was like 6 years old. He drew this reptile man with 3 snakes for a tongue and hung it up in my office. I took a picture of him and posted it on Facebook, and Mike McMahon saw it and he was like, "Oh, he needs to be a villain in our book." And yeah, we made it happen, and he's one of our favorite characters now.
And if you're in the greater Philadelphia area and you get the retailer pack, I'm sure as all hell that Primetime Poulton will come to your store and do a signing for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've actually been talking with some retailers about just that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting U.S. Assassin out in some comic shops, man. I've heard back from a few retailers that are gonna jump on this, but they told me not to worry. They're going to jump on it at the last minute because they're managing their funds right now. So that's it for our campaign. That's it for my my spiel. We're going to get into some wrestling talk now.
I'm totally ripping off that retailer pack. Totally ripping that off.
So, before we get into the wrestling talk, this is just, I already have the retailer box, the collector's boxes, the Foot Locker. So, these are really nice, man.
Oh,
I'm really
so
happy
good.
with you.
It looks like I know it's based off of your love of G.I. Joe, which really started you into your comics foray.
Yeah.
Like, so it's such a nice love letter to like,
Yeah.
and I think that's what makes U.S. Assassin so good, is that it's Mark's pure love of comic books and G.I. Joe and the genre in general, which is why, for those who haven't picked up the Foot Locker yet, go get that, because that looks just like something Mark would probably have picked up when he was a kid at the toy store.
So I call G.I. Joe my gateway comic. That's what got me into comic books. And from there, I saw ads for other comic books in G.I. Joe, and I was like, oh, I need to check out them because what's going on in Spider-Man seems really awesome. I have to read about it. But one thing I really loved about G.I. Joe was they had real people be members of G.I. Joe, and I'm totally ripping that off. So this volume 2 leads into volume 3, and we're going to introduce our first like real member of the Project U.S. Assassin team, and I can't wait. We're going to announce that in December, but the deal's been signed. I feel like I put on my big boy pants. I worked out a licensing agreement with a celebrity, and I can't wait to announce that.
And that's a shoot, my friends.
So we're gonna talk some AEW now. It's before we get into the this week's episode. Last week was the 30th anniversary of Chris Jericho's wrestling career. We didn't get a chance to talk about that episode. What'd you think of it?
I thought the episode was okay. I thought it was a lot of hype for it. I think it had me craving for some storytelling. It was one of the. I'm a big storytelling fan in wrestling. I want storylines. I'm just not a match person, and I think it really was set for the dog collar match and Jericho. And I feel like that's the only thing they really had planned for it because they knew that this past week's was going to be so hyped. But I love the ending to it with the SNL sort of credits, and
Yeah.
um, I'm loving this turn that's going to turn Jericho. I love the slow face turn. I love where this is headed. MJF and him are just magic on the mic together. But otherwise, it was just an okay episode for me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the dog collar match. I really enjoyed those credits. Earlier in the week, Dr. Luther was on Talk is Jericho, and it was really interesting hearing about how him and Jericho go way back. So I was really looking forward to that main event, but it just wasn't very good. Doc, I thought the best part was when they first Luther and Jericho first squared up. Dr. Luther had a huge grin on his face. This was a big deal for him, but he was doing a lot of stuff off the top rope, looked really shaky. And I was more worried about, his safety than, anything else.
And I think, what's really, I guess, sucks is that I'm watching BTE, and the promo that Hangman cut on BTE that same week on Monday to Brandon Cutler about how the Bucks don't care about him and they don't care about you either. And it was the fire of that Hangman that we fell in love with. Like him saying, they don't give a shit about you. He's like, you know what? I'm a piece of shit because that's been his deal. But when he said, the Bucks are a piece of shit and Omega's a piece of shit and everyone in the Elite is a piece of shit, they just don't know it. That was fire. That should have been on this television. It should have been on this episode. It shouldn't have been the bad commentary we got from him. He should have had that confrontation in the middle of the ring with Brandon Cutler and be like, I'm saying right now, AEW, put that on your show on Wednesday. Just have that same exact segment and put it on your show because that'll bring Hangman back because that's a Hangman I wanted.
Yeah.
That's the Hangman I want. So.
All right, so this week's episode starts off with a tag team title match, FTR against Best Friends. Now, this isn't the 20-minute Brush with Greatness. This was regular rules. I think it was a 60-minute time limit. FTR got the win. What'd you think of the match? I thought it was really good. I loved they had to cheat to win. Tully Blanchard continues to be great at ringside.
Tully adds so much believability to whoever he's managing. Later on in the episode, we had that quick Sean Spears promo where he's all shaved. He has his eyebrows shaved again, so he looks like being that shit heel again. And Tully just comes out from behind him, and that slow motion package.
That was such a great moment. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought it up. That was just like chills almost, like how, I don't know, devilish it makes him appear.
It just makes you feel like whatever Tully will put together is going to be great. And it really turned like FTR onto that next level. They are vying for being I never saw them as the best tag team in the world, but now they are getting there because their matches I'm into from start to finish. And I loved the way the match blended into another storyline at the end there with Kip Sabian's arcade getting destroyed by accident and then FTR just going away with their titles. And then that led into a next job match. So I love the way it's set. It just flowed seamlessly. And I think FTR's storytelling has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, so what you're alluding to is at one point Trent gets thrown. Kip Sabian is ringside with Penelope Ford. He's playing a classic arcade game. I think it was a gift from Miro. It has his name on the side, and Trent gets thrown through the back of it, destroys the game. Kip's pissed off. He tells Penelope to go backstage and get Miro. So after the match is over, Penelope comes out with Miro, and Miro just destroys Best Friends.
Yeah, no one sells a beatdown better than Best Friends. Like, because I'm throwing Orange in there. All three of them play that I'm dead, like, sell so well.
Yeah, so after that, Kip and Miro, they do a squash match basically against Sean Maluda, who was part of 205 Live. I don't know if you remember, but he was there for a second. I think he was part of the Cruiserweight tournament. Him and another guy whose name escapes me. Really not important because I don't even know if he got tagged in. This was a classic squash match.
This is what they should have done week one. This is what they should have done week one, and not the stupid guy who played Pac-Man that no one knew. Not the terrible match with Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. Have this happen, and I think this is starting to get that momentum behind them, because I love the fact that he's calling his finisher the game over. I love how he brought that into his promo. That's how they should have debuted Miro, and I mean, his first real in-ring action instead of what they had. So I feel like this was a nice, like, hey, we kind of shit the bed first time, let's bring it in a second time.
Yeah, so Sean Maluda's partner is Lee Johnson. Not that it really makes a difference, but this, like you said, this was a great improvement over like the previous 2 weeks of Miro. That first terrible debut match where it was just like mistake after mistake, and then that weird promo package video with the Donkey Kong or Pac-Man guy, whatever he was, just really strange. So Miro brought a lot of fire this week. I loved it. So after that match, we got the Murder Hawk was backstage, and he was just beating up some poor guy in the background, and Jake the Snake was hilarious.
Was he beating up Moxley?
Oh, was he? Oh, yeah, he was beating up Moxley.
But the Lapod he is some other guy.
Yeah, sorry, I got it confused. Later on, Murder Hawk was beating up another guy, but this was with Jake the Snake. He kept asking for help to put his vest on.
These two work so well together. This is what Tully is to FDR, is what Jake is to Lance Archer. Arn doesn't do anything for me with Cody. I feel like he just doesn't need it, and it kind of shows. Hopefully that pays off in a heel turn for him to go with the Four Horsemen, if that ever comes to fruition. But this is great. It just proves to me that I want Lance Archer to. It means I want Lance Archer to be champion over Moxley, and I think that kind of, it just proves that he's a badass. And I think the more he gets, fueled up and then loses, you really diminish the star power of Lance Archer.
Yeah, so after this segment, we had MJF's big announcement. He was with Inner Circle in the ring. He has Wardlow with him, and his big announcement is basically he kind of sort of would join the Inner Circle if Jericho wants him to.
And what I loved about this was the way Ortiz came out and said, "We don't need you in the Inner Circle. We don't want you in the Inner Circle. So it ain't no hypothetical. You're not joining." And it was great because Sammy had that super big jacket that that MJF is trolling them with, and this was a strong segment. Segment.
It's funny how Sammy can go from looking ridiculous at one point in the segment to looking like a badass later on in the night. But yeah, he looked like a little kid. He was swimming in that jacket. So basically, Jericho and MJF are going to have a date next week. over a steak dinner, and I guess they're going to discuss the future of MJF in the inner circle.
The dinner debonair.
Yeah, but again, when everyone was leaving, Jake Hager stands there, and him and Wardlow are having the stare down. Now, I know you said you think MJF's going to take over Inner Circle, and Sammy's going to be the only one that stands by his side. Do you have any thinking otherwise? Because Jake and Wardlow don't seem like they get along.
I think I don't. In my fantasy booking, I'd make it a red herring. Like I make these two look like they're gonna beat each other down, and that turns both of them. So that really, I think Hager would get a lot of heat if him and Wardlow, like, because we like Wardlow, and I think that's a problem. If they're not going to turn him face, that's a problem. And what better way to make both of these guys look like shit heels is to have them look like they're going to face off and then double team poor Sammy and Jericho. So I think that's how I would book it. But otherwise, if you're not going to go that way, then just have Jericho and just have those two go at it.
Now we go from MJF's somewhat big announcement to I think maybe one of the best segments of the night. The Britt Baker update with Tony Schiavone.
If Britt Baker's a fucking star, and Tony they play so well off of each other. I cannot get enough of Tony Schiavone with the talent because it seems like everybody loves him so much, and they just want to work with him. And the fact that when she got freaked out for him being nude, to right away helping rip the chair off was an amazing turn. I'm glad. I thought they were going to end the segment right there. As it went on and she was like, let's beautify him. It was amazing. It's so in Britt Baker's character. She is so going to be your next champion, either her or Thunder Rosa, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, that segment was so much fun. Reba even got brought into it. She even like ripped a wax strip off Tony's chest. Tony is like a really funny guy. I don't know if you've ever listened to his podcast that he does with Conrad Thompson, but Tony's hilarious. I'm glad that he's getting to show that humorous side of him on TV every week.
It proves to me, and JR called somebody by the wrong name. I forget who it was. Once again, he's calling people by the wrong name. They need to put JR out to pasture, dude. And Tony has to just keep being the face of that commentary because he works so well with the talent, works so well with Taz and Excalibur that JR just bogs the whole thing down.
Yeah. So next match was the TNT Championship, Cody against Orange Cassidy. Now, for a while, I thought the whole booking of the TNT Championship was terrible. I mean, I loved Brody Lee beating Cody, and it was just a squash, a brutal beatdown. But then maybe, what was it, his first defense or second defense? He destroyed Orange Cassidy. Mm-hmm. So they were building him up. They should have kept him and Cody apart longer, but Cody wins it his first match back. But then his first challenger is Orange Cassidy, who Brody destroyed. Mm-hmm. Especially with Orange coming off that big win against Chris Jericho, I feel like he should have been protected and should have just been like almost like an attraction. He doesn't wrestle every week. He wrestles when it's really important. So to have him lose Brody, I thought really took the legs out from him. But that being said, this was a strong rebuild for him this match. It ends with a time limit draw with Orange like a half a second away from winning the belt.
This is how you establish a guy as a real threat. A guy who, this is how you do an underdog story. This is how you make it believable. You make all of his counters pins. You make him resilient. You mean no matter, he may not be able to give much damage, but he's willing to take a lot of damage. When he grabbed that title and stuck it in Arn's chest, right? That was so good, such great storytelling that, and coming into this match, I was pissed because they pulled such a WWE move to announce a title match that's happening in a couple weeks with a different opponent, because Darby was in there, and they said, "Oh, at the next pay-per-view, it's gonna be Darby Allin versus Cody Rhodes." And therefore, you already know that you don't think he's gonna win, right? So to have the time limit happen was so sort of almost WWE-esque again, to say, "Oh, boy, he took him to the limit." So the only way this gets a payoff is if Orange is added to that match and it's a triple threat, and the TNT title isn't defended up until the next pay-per-view. Because you can't have an open challenge. I mean, they're having 2 weeks again. So the pay-per-view's in what, like 3-4 weeks, and another 2 weeks they're having it Orange again. So unless they're going to beat down Orange and then kill more momentum from him, it has to go another time limit draw, and it has to be made a triple threat for this to succeed, in my opinion.
Yeah, one thing I really liked in this match was how you could sense Cody was getting pissed off with Orange, with Orange's lack of respect for the business, and you know, I think Cody, I think, is one of the most popular wrestlers in AEW. He cuts a great promo, very fiery baby face, but I enjoy him more as a heel, especially like during his run as when he believed he was the leader of Bullet Club, during being the elite. He was really great. He's a really great I don't know, slimy heel. So I enjoyed watching him get angrier and angrier and more frustrated with Orange. I wouldn't mind seeing more of that from him.
How's this for a comparison? He is like, when he's a heel, he's like Triple H, the guy he despises. But the reason why Triple H was such a good heel was he was good, he believed he was good, and he proved it. Cody's the same thing. He's good, he believes he's good, and he can prove it. And the way he gets frustrated, the way it's very true, he wrestles very much like Triple H. That's why Triple H is the game. He's psychological master. Cody's got that aura about him. He can do it. And I think we're slowly seeing your faces turn heel as a way to build new stars. And I mean, as crappy as this Young Bucks heel turn is, which we'll get to in a second, like, it's starting to build some stars.
So we also had Darby Allin. He was up in the cheap seats, doing his best Sting impersonation, watching the match. So I really think it's going to lead to hopefully a three-way between the three of them. And they really need to, I think, pass that TNT title over to a new star, either whether it be Orange or Darby. I feel like it's been long overdue for Darby Allin.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So after that match, we got another backstage segment. This time, Moxley returns the favor. He's beaten up on the Murder Hawk. And then we go to Matt Hardy with his family, who's ringside. Matt says he's 100% cleared to wrestle. And while he's talking, we get a video of someone walking, looks like in the parking lot. And there's all these pictures of Matt Hardy that this hooded person starts setting on fire. And who is it? It's Sammy Guevara. It would have been hilarious if he was still wearing that oversized jacket, but he was wearing a black hoodie.
When he said, "Who'd you think attacked you, Hardy?" was such a good line, because there was no mystery about it, and it made so much sense, where he's like, "I just attacked you because not until you're out of here will I be happy." And then what's a good for a feud that seems so snake bitten. I'm excited every time they tease a match about them. So I hope we get the payoff that we want, because it's just such a good story.
Yeah, I would have loved to have heard from Rebby, because I'm sure she wants Matt to stay away from Sammy Guevara.
Hey, that may be in a couple weeks to hype that match up. I think they just give Rebby a live mic and let her go ape shit.
I love Rebby. She's a woman who has her man's back 100%. So whenever anyone slights Matt, in the least she goes off, and I enjoy it. That's the type of woman you want to. She's your ride or die. Next up, so we had all the tag teams on the stage, and FTR is in the ring with Tully, and they're doing one of those gimmick deals, the like the bingo ball roller things, and they're pulling out names. They're gonna have 4 teams to compete in a 4-way match to see who the number 1 contenders are. We get Private Party. We get our guys in the Dark Order, Johnny Silver and Alex Reynolds. And I loved how Johnny Silver was hugging him and FTR was like pushing him away. Then we got Butcher and Blade. And I noticed Eddie Kingston wasn't out there with him, was it?
No, he wasn't.
And then the 4th and final, no surprise, the Young Bucks. And Tony Schiavone was out there, and they told him not to worry. They weren't going to super kick him, but they did end up super kicking. Who'd they super kick? The refs?
No, they super kicked. They super kicked a Butcher and Alex
Silver.
Reynolds.
Oh, and Reynolds, yeah. And then a big brawl starts, and it ends with the Bucks and Private Party clearing the ring, and Matt Jackson threw that bingo ball roller thing. He threw it at FTR, and it ends with the Bucks going to shake Private Party's hands, but tricking them and super kicking them.
This was by far the worst segment AEW's ever put on, and I'm going to go on record and say this is the worst segment they ever put on. The Bucks heel turn is so bad. It's so bad. It makes no sense. If you want to find out how it makes sense, you have to watch Being the Elite. Why are you putting your best stuff on YouTube is beyond me. When you're trying to win a ratings war, when you're trying to get consistent million viewers, the way it was filmed was terrible because you could clearly see there were no names on the pamphlets or the little pieces of paper that they pulled out. Tony's, of course, the Bucks didn't matter because the heel turn's been so shitty anyway, right? that it just fell so flat, and I think that has a lot to do with Matt and Nick Jackson. They need to do something to prove that they're heels, because why are they turning on a company they created? It's as bad as when Vince pulled out the NWO, remember? Like when the brand split and their contracts were back, he's like, I'm going to destroy the thing I love. This is as bad as that. This is bad as signing Retribution to contracts. It's just so terrible. The whole segment sucked. The only thing that was worth it was FTR and Johnny Hungy. That's it. The whole segment sucked.
All right, it was so bad we won't talk about it anymore. Next up, we got the AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida defending against Big Swole. We've ripped AEW's women's division a lot, mostly you. What do you think of this?
I mean, get ready for this again.
Yeah,
I don't care. They've made me not care, and the only person who made me care about their division two people who made me care. The one was in an excellent promo tonight, so I didn't care who else wrestled after that. And the second one, who does wrestle, isn't even signed with the company. So I don't care about Swole as much as she is a good personality. I liked her when she was taunting other wrestlers in the crowd. I think the language barrier with Shida doesn't do her any favor. She has no manager to be her mouthpiece. There's no one that you can get behind to rally behind her. It's just a mess. And unless they start poaching some talent elsewhere, I really don't care.
Maybe a Jordan Grace or a Tessa Blanchard.
Mm-hmm. It's a much needed shot in the arm. If Tessa comes in there and is part of the Four Horsemen, what a great way again to push a woman's movement, to make be part of a stable that her dad was a part of, and just she can bring back that old school feel to it. And I just think Tessa Blanchard is much needed in AEW. Jordan Grace is much needed in AEW. And the way Jordan Grace has been being treated in Impact just hopefully reaffirms the fact that her contract is ending so she can jump ship.
Yeah, when you're in the X division, man, you know you're not in a good spot.
It's a division full of losers run by losers.
So it's main event time. Eddie Kingston comes out with Penta and Ray Phoenix, and Eddie's not happy. He's still saying he never submitted, he never gave up, and he's correct. He didn't give up to it against his match with Moxley. I'm glad they're still on this Eddie
Mhm.
Kingston Moxley thing, because I think they kind of caught some gold by accident
Mhm.
with this, because Kingston's so great, and he just had Ray and Pentagon with him this time. Hopefully, this means Butcher and Blade are no longer in this
Mhm.
group. We'll see. But Eddie sticks around for commentary for our main event. Moxley defends the AEW title against Lance Archer. This was a brawl, went all over. They were both bleeding. Moxley gets the win, a hard fought victory, but uh, Lance Archer isn't happy about it and beats down Moxley after the match.
Mhm.
And Eddie sends Penta and Phoenix to the ring to save Moxley. This was really cool. What'd you think?
Eddie, I think someone's watching the show, so that's why we're so hard on AEW. Because what did we say a couple weeks ago? Why is Eddie Kingston running around with these losers when your manager outshines your talent? I love the fact that he's got Penta and Ray behind him. I love the fact that he just runs a badass stable. He's the best promo in AEW by far. He sells you a match when he's not even trying to sell you a match. Like, he is so good on the mic. Whoever scouted him and brought him in, kudos to AEW for bringing in a guy who can just elevate anybody and like that. And I hope that, I know it's leading to Kenny, but I hope this leads to a pay-per-view title match because Eddie Kingston deserves it.
Yeah, so they chase away Lance Archer, and that stare down between Archer and Kingston and Pentagon and Phoenix, I was almost like, oh, I wouldn't mind seeing seeing all of them go at it. But they chase him away. They help Moxley up, and Eddie is telling Moxley how much he respects him. He's basically holding him up, and Moxley's so beat up he can't even say anything. I was almost waiting for Eddie to
Mhm.
do his wink that he's been doing the
Mhm.
the last month or so. But of course, Kingston turns on Moxley, knocks him out. I think we went off the air with them
Mhm.
still beating him down. So we're getting more of Kingston and Moxley, which is awesome because I don't. It's just so
It's the only time we
he
cared about Moxley.
yeah, he Kingston brings so much realism to every segment he's in,
Mhm.
um, and you know, taking away Butcher and Blade is addition by subtraction, because I feel like those two were bringing him down.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and they kind of hinted towards like we're gonna get Penta and Ray in a match together against each other in this tournament that they're doing, and which I love the fact that Eddie Kingston's like that's been his thing. We may fight, but we still love each other. So I think that's just a nice. It's going to be nice fan service for us to watch, but it's also going to be nice for us to know that it's not going to split up the team.
Yeah, so this tournament is for the number one contender. The matches start next week, I believe,
Hmm.
and the way it's shaping up, it's going to be Kenny versus Hangman. Uh, it, it's uh, it's predictable, but this is what we want.
Predictable is good when done right, and
Yeah,
they need to start building this yesterday. Like once again there's no Hangman. Once again there's no Kenny. Kenny's been off air for too long and he needs to be kicking ass because that's when we really started to buy into this. Like how many times have we loved that turn against Marco Stunt? When they've been focusing too much on a shitty Bucks heel turn. I don't understand why, and maybe this has to do with Kenny being an EVP. Why he's not pushed as your face of your company is so beyond me because he's clearly the best wrestler in the world. He is such a good promo. He's the best storyteller by far and away currently in the ring, that you have this guy who was so coveted a few years back when John Cena posted a picture of him on Instagram. Like, you got to get that back from him, and you got to start treating him like the star he is. He has to be your, for lack of a better comparison, he has to be your Rocker Austin. You got to tie the ship to him and let him be your star of your TV show.
Yeah, they could have got that Young Bucks heel turn over in one segment. When Kenny left the arena and got in that car, the Bucks should have just got in the car with him. If he's like their best friend, you know, you got to stick with your friends, man. And plus, Hangman screwed them over. So, you know, in the words of Scott Steiner, no simpy for Hangman. He screwed them over. So if that makes them bad guys because they won't get over it, then too bad. They're bad guys.
You know, they should have done that segment we talked about. They all should have met in the ring to open up Dynamite, and they should have said, "Listen, Hangman, we love you." Like, give him a kiss on the head, give him a hug, and say, "But you screwed us, and you know we won't forgive and we won't forget." And they start the beatdown. All three of them, super kicks, V trigger. You beat the shit out of this guy. And that makes a promo of him saying, "Listen, I was a piece of shit, but we all do stupid shit. We all make mistakes, right? The thing is, I know I'm a piece of shit. And what really makes you guys the bigger pieces of shit is that you don't know it. And you think you're better than everybody." And just bring it in. Bring in past episodes of Being the Elite when he asked the Bucks to walk him down to the ring. And they say, "We only accompany one guy." Bring in that, Brandon Cutler, "They've never walked me down to the ring." Bring that in. Make them feel like that made them bigger heels by the way they treat other people, not super kicking randos.
Yeah. So overall, what'd you think of this week's episode?
I think the rating reflected it didn't get 1 million viewers, and I think the show was good. I think it didn't get 1 million viewers because the week before was okay. It wasn't their best effort. This was okay. They need to start their builds for Full Gear. They have to watch an episode of Impact. They have to see how, and I'm saying this like in all honesty, they have to look at how Rich Swann and Eric Young has been built. They have to look at how they treat Eddie Edwards, who gets viciously beat down but still fights valiant for the title, right? You have to take a look at how they're building their women's division with Kylie Ray and Deonna Purrazzo. Their storylines are so good that these builds, the storylines are not as, I don't think they're as good as AEW's, but their builds are so much better that they make those storylines feel like the same.
Yeah. Speaking of Eddie Edwards, this is really cool. I got to design his new T-shirt. I'm not sure if it's going to be an Impact shirt or a pro wrestling T-shirt. He hasn't decided who he wants to give it to yet. So once I find out and it's for sale, I'll let everyone know. But I worked on it with our friend Dexter Weeks, and I'm biased because I worked on it, but I think it turned out pretty great. I can't wait to share it with everyone.
Shout out to Dexter Weeks. If I just saw his commission of like The Dark Knight, and it's so good. I feel like every time we're at a show together, I'm picking something up from Dex. He's just so talented.
Yeah, maybe we can get Dex to come on one time. Dex used to always go to ECW with me. So he doesn't really follow the current stuff, but I don't know. Maybe the three of us can go to an indie show.
Let's do a social experiment. Let's have him watch, and let's have him sit down for a week if he time allotted. Let's have him watch an episode of Dynamite, watch an episode of Impact, and either Monday or Friday of WWE, and let's have him tell us which he likes the best.
That'll be interesting. I'll see if he's available. I know he's always busy with his artwork, but that would be a cool experiment.
Let's not torture the guy with Raw. Let's just give him SmackDown. Let's give him at least Roman Reigns. Let's give him a good thing of WWE right now.
Yeah, 3 hours of of Raw. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
No, of course not. But 2 hours of SmackDown? Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right, Phil. So where can people follow you at?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AnimatedPhil.
And you said you're finishing up some artwork. Just looking around, we need some Lapod Gods banners and logos and stuff.
Yeah. This is, as you can tell. So I'm gonna have as soon as I get that Eddie Edwards to you, I'm gonna have that printed out, 22 by 34 as well. Have that blown up. As you can see, I got a bunch of crap lying around because I just got shelves the other day. I have my Funko Pops. I got my printer here. I got my my Thanos poster over here that I did. So I just got to start getting this stuff together, man.
Yeah, I just mean for our StreamYard, we need like a Lapod Gods banner running along the bottom or something.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. So you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Coney Waves, and we will see you guys next week for a little Impact and more AEW talk, man. Thanks for watching, guys.